Hello, my name is Greta Harrison. Welcome to Born Fabulous Podcast, Season 3, Episode 12. The theme of this season is young adults with intellectual disabilities living full lives of independence and interdependence. You will hear interviews with parents, support staff, and of course, the young adults with intellectual disabilities. Please note these interviews were done 1 to 2 years ago. Achieving independence is a complex journey for many individuals and families. There were many stops and starts with various entities when putting together Season 3. Regardless, this content is very relevant and we hope you will find it helpful. This episode is the fourth of 5 parts with Janice Fialka and Richard Feldman. Though they both say they are retired, Janice and Richard continue to be sought-after presenters and speakers on issues relating to disability, inclusion, building community, advocacy, and more. Janice is also the author of 4 books and a poet. Richard and Janice are the proud parents of Micah Fialka-Feldman, one of the stars of the film Intelligent Lives. Micah has an intellectual disability. It was a real treat to have this in-depth discussion with both Janice and Rich. Please enjoy this short clip of Love is a Potion. The lyrics are by Melissa Riggio, a young lady who had Down syndrome and was the focus of episodes 1 through 4 in Season 1. The music and voice are by Rachel Fuller. Now, one thing I've noticed about Micah, and I feel like I've had the pleasure of getting to know him actually since 2019, and he does not hold back when it comes to reaching out to others. He's good at making connections. He's good at making friends. He's good at letting everybody know he's looking for love, all of those things. And I just wondered, as parent to parent, is there anything that you can think of in his past when he grew up that helped him? Or was he just naturally like that? Or did he get more at ease as he got older and grew into his skin? Because he's really good at that.
He is. I think there was some intention. We stumbled on that concept of learning to reach out to others. It's sort of what we were talking about earlier, is that really from other people with disabilities who have mentored us, who are older, primarily people with disabilities, sometimes the family members, who stressed that interdependence is the dream, the goal. And that as opposed to independence, because most of us, we're not independent, we need each other. We can do things, with some self-empowerment, and yet that is always done in relationship to others. So I think it was practice. And I tell you, almost, I don't know, it's a little embarrassed to share this, but almost out of desperation, when Michael was younger, we reached out to people. When he didn't get invited to birthday parties, we didn't do this all the time, but there were a few times with people that we sort of knew that, okay, if Micah can't get invited to the party, then how about if we take your daughter and Micah and they go out for a special birthday ice cream cone or something? So, or I remember talking to Micah when it was prom time and he had to get his tuxedo. And so I reached out to another mother who had, been friendly towards our family. And I said, how about Micah and your son go and look for their tuxedos together? And she said, that's a great idea, of course. And so we've learned over and over that his life is incredibly rich in part because of that. And then unbeknownst to us, Michael was watching us do that as well and became more confident. So I think that the intentionality of reaching out. I think the other thing is that I think we really, on our good days, valued what he could do. And although we had high expectations, we also acknowledged, hey, Micah, that's so cool of you. I don't know, I can't come up with an idea, or an example, but you tried, as opposed to, Well, here's an example. Micah doesn't, and he's comfortable for us sharing this. He does not read or write, which always surprises people because he uses technology so well. So in the beginning, when he couldn't write out his papers, we came up with the idea of having him interview people on a topic, audio tape it, and then submit it to as his paper or assignment, fulfillment of his assignment. And so the focus was what can you do and how do we lift that up, as opposed to can't do that, you're not good enough, that kind of thing. So it's a dance. Yeah.
I think it's a fascinating question. And I think, why is Micah the way he is, in terms of feeling comfortable reaching out, is both something deep within him that he's seen that is also who he is. If he was around parents that knew how to repair cars, he probably could repair a car, right? I mean, our kids learn from their parents, whatever, and for us, we're very social and very activist, and it's, these are the things that, come off of us. But I think it's also the intentionality. I think what Janice said, which is really the most important part, is we knew that Micah, we have a different sense of security than a lot of parents, particularly the generation before us. The generation before us believed that they could save enough money, take care of their kid, and make them safe for the future. And that security is wrapping our arms around the kids, our young adults, our family member with a disability. And that it was up to us as individual nuclear families, as individual, based on the individualism of American culture, to hug and hold security that way. We believed from the very get-go that security is based on the relationships you have with other human beings and the building of community. So when Janice reached out to Michael's mother about going to rent the tuxedo, whether it's consciously thinking about it or not, it's in our blood to say, this is how we create community, and this is how they change. Not just how Micah gets a tuxedo, but they will change because they will have this interaction. And to this day, that family is one of the most, they don't even live near us, but there's a relationship with Micah, and there's the son. And those stories have gone on. So it's about community, it's about interdependence, and it's how does the community change? Because if it's not on your radar, you don't think about it. I mean, I didn't think about disability stuff until Micah really was disabled and was introduced us to a whole new world.
Having said all that, it's still hard.
Sure.
And I think that's so important. It's not like, oh, we have a problem, let's ask people. There still is that sense of cautiousness. So I think there's phases to our being able to reach out. First we know that there's something going on, then we sort of realize we need some support, and then we don't do anything, and then we do something. So I don't want to glamorize what we've done. It's hard at times. Yes, it's in our blood, but it also is, it's hard. When Micah needed open heart surgery, Micah said to me, Mom, you're going to need a circle of support. And I said, oh, I don't know, Micah. And, with his nudging, I brought together 8 women friends, and we had a conversation, and we talked about courage and all that. And they were very, very helpful. So I wanted to mention that as well.
I love that he said that to you. And it was true. And it's true. And while they're in school, especially when you're trying to make sure they have as inclusive an education as possible, I think parents need circles of support then too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the students need them, but the parents need them too.
Yes.
Got to be around people who get it.
Yes. Absolutely.
You got to have your yayas, and they don't always have to be yayas. They can be whatever gender, but you've got to have that circle who gets it. Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and his heart scare was quite something. But again, that's something else Micah does well is he keeps track of his health now. I'm saying we're talking about him, but we're going to be talking to Micah directly. I don't want you to think we are going to talk to Micah directly, but he's very conscious of his health and he's good about exercising and eating right. And that's great. So let's move on to independence, interdependence. What are some of the biggest rewards you have from this whole experience?
Great question. I think when, I mean, to be fulfilled, the sense of being able to contribute to society or to a friendship or to a relationship is at least an aspect to living a quality life. So when I remember once Micah said, a teacher came up to him after hearing him speak, and she taught in early childhood. And she said, Micah, after hearing your story, I realized that I have to go back and tell the families that I'm working with. And the kids were like, third grade, maybe second grade. And I have to go back and talk to the families in a different way. I've been sort of limiting what I thought was possible for their kids. And you've opened up that door for me. You give me hope. So Micah calls us up and says, Mom, you know what? I gave a teacher hope today. So knowing that he can contribute something, and every single person can, whatever it might be, even one of Micah's friends who didn't speak, was pretty much unable to move, all the limits. People would see Scott as a can't kid. What could he do? But his peers in high school would come visit Scott and be with him and get what they called a Scott moment, which was to settle their nerves and to be still and to sort of meditate. So each person has gifts, as folks have taught us from Toronto, Jack Pearpoint, Marcia Forrest, Linda Kahn. Everybody has a gift. And so, a long way to say, I think being able to contribute, to have your gifts acknowledged, that has given us great joy. Rich, what about you? There's many. But...
Thank you. I think how it's changed. I'm thinking about how it's changed us, and it's joy is an interesting word, but in many ways we'll never see the world or people in the way that we saw them before. And part of our humanity and our growing as human beings is, when people use the word inclusion, it sounds like you're just opening the door and throwing them in the house and everybody's together or something. But inclusion really means you have the deepest respect for every human being's ability to reach their potential, whatever that is. And that means shedding the glasses of what success is, shedding the glasses of what normal is, shedding the glasses of ableism, of racism, of gender, of sexism, all that stuff, right? I mean, so when we see people outside, we have a better chance, a better tendency to be open and listen rather than judge. And so, so Micah's gift has not only been this amazing journey, but it's a journey that has transformed us as parents and me as a dad, and he's a teacher. And to know that your teachers are not these professors that write papers, but the teacher is the person who's walking the street or rolling in their chair is a pretty amazing gift.
And as I'm listening, I'm also really aware that we need a whole segment on Emma, our daughter, because so much of who Micah is, and actually who Emma is, but who Micah is, has been the role, if you will, the relationship with his younger sister, Emma, by 4 years. So there's a lot of joy in watching how they have evolved over time. She now, for 8 years, she was a teacher in Boston with second graders doing full inclusion. Many of you saw her if you watched the film Intelligent Lives. And now she's a principal in an elementary school in Boston as well. So the joy of seeing how she has challenged us. I mean, siblings are really important to helping us be better at knowing how to be with Micah. So I really want to lift up all that she has taught us and the joys, the immense joys that she's given us. I do have a specific story that came to mind. You know, when Micah challenged the university here in Michigan because they wouldn't allow him to move into the dorm. He tried all different ways to get them to change their minds, and eventually he ended up suing the university. That's a very long story, which you can read a bit about in our book. The judge who ruled in favor, Judge Duggan, who ruled in favor of Micah, is critically important to his life and our lives and the lives of so many other young people. So 10 years after he made that important ruling for Micah, after Micah moved in the dorm, we were able to reconnect with the judge. And he had no idea what had happened to this kid, he said, you know, that he ruled that Micah could live in the dorm. So we met with his family, his neighbors, and we showed the film Intelligent Lives. And we were able to thank him for the decision he made, and also thank the lawyer who wrote the brief, I think it's called. What a joy that was. We never expected that. You know, it's a long story how that happened, but I think we get the ability to talk about the transformations that have occurred. Really is what, when I can't sleep in the middle of the night, I have to remember those stories as well. They're sort of like the pillow that catches my worrying head as well. So, yeah.
In that same spirit, Emma just sent us a picture of the young woman who's in the film. Young girl, who's in the film reading. And
just to set the stage. So those of the folks who have seen Intelligent Lives, Emma's teaching second grade, and Kavana, who's a girl who has Down syndrome, has really testing Emma, and it's captured in the film very well because she kept saying no to Emma, and Emma has stayed in her life and her family's life, supporting them to create a circle as well.
And so what I think we've learned, and Emma learned as she was teaching second grade, is this sense of time. I think we have a very false sense of time when you're sort of on this track of go to school, go to college, go to trade school, get a job, make a family. That's not how the world really, really functions. That's not how most humans really, really function. It's just a cultural creation that has destroyed human beings. And Micah has taught us a sense of time, just like Emma uses this example of Kavana in second grade would not be Micah at 30, you know. But now she can see, because of what she did in second grade, Kavana is now in high school and can read.
We just got a video of her reading, and you know, it takes time, and that's why we need each other to stories, because I reach out to parents whose kids are older saying, oh my gosh, how did you go through this? And they'll, okay, let's take this little step here. Let's take this little step here.
You've touched on so many things there. First of all, Emma, who is quite a rock star. And we've already talked about it a little bit in this interview, how she started helping other educators when the pandemic first started. She is quite a rock star. When you were talking about helping that family, those 8 families together, and you said Emma was part of that, my first thought was, wow, they had an all-star team there helping them. They had both of you and Emma. That's great.
And Micah.
And Micah was there too?
Also,
yeah,
it was a family. It was a family training with the four.
I did not know Micah was there.
So yeah, Mike was there. Yeah,
That's
of
great
course,
because you guys are not always in the same place. So that's wonderful to know. But you've also brought up the fact of siblings have extra layers, and you probably have a more eloquent way of saying this, but extra layers of empathy, extra layers of character, extra layers of early wise experience that others their own age would not have. And I've seen that time and time again. And I think that's definitely true with Emma, for sure.
Yes, and all the research really points to that. Not that we need that, but there is the scientific research that definitely, because lots of times people, have a misunderstanding. If Emma, though, one of the things that she always says when she speaks, especially when she was younger, is to give siblings to support the siblings to have all the range of feelings as well. Embarrassed, frustrated, angry. I don't want that. I think one of Emma's workshops that she did was called, the title was, I can't live without him and I can't live with him, right? Something like that captures. So she wanted a place where she could talk about, I don't want a brother with a disability. And that in some ways isn't all that uncommon on sibling issues. I don't want a brother who's whatever, So I think that's one thing she always wanted to say to other parents. Let siblings talk about what their feelings are as well. So, and she didn't always want to be around him. And rather than pressure her to, you better love your brother. We wanted to do that and say that, and we hoped for it, but we would say, give yourself some time, Emma. Maybe right now, being with Micah isn't always the best thing. And again, that's maybe more extreme around differences, but not all that unusual in sibling relationships.
I'll never forget that when she got a hold of this book called the Sibling Slam Notebook by some folks out in
what's his
in
name?
the West, Myers.
Don Myers.
Don Myers.
Yeah.
And it was the first book that she could give to a friend because she felt comfortable, and she had actually written some stuff in it, I think. And because she didn't want her friends to come over the house when, it's a certain time in middle school or something like that. And the other part of the ingredient was the empathy. You call it empathy. I don't know what it is. Janice has an uncanny ability to listen, and would listen to Emma talk at night on and on and on about anything and everything. It might not just have been about her brother. So there's a listening part of parenting that we know is so important. And the last thing that I want to say is, and this is a challenge. It's not about being haughty or anything like that. But one of the best gifts we can give to the siblings is a circle of support and friendships and community, because otherwise it falls on them for that relationship. And while it is by choice and by love, there's just so much choice and love every sibling wants about another sibling, And I think the belief that parents can have the security of hugging and not the security of community building is really needs to be soul searched, and it's risky, but that risk will be the benefit of how many siblings always say, well, just be honest with your kid, just tell them the truth, that open conversation has been very, very important in our family.
Thank you for listening to episode 12 of Born Fabulous Podcast 3rd season. I hope you enjoyed it and want to hear more. Some short video clips from most episodes are available on our YouTube channel and on bornfabulouspodcast.com. In episode 13, Janice and Rich will continue their discussion on the sibling perspective, sharing an inspiring quote from Emma. They will also touch on letting go, fighting hard and loving hard, sharing resources, and giving some advice. Please follow and like us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd be honored if you would leave a review wherever you heard this podcast. Now please enjoy this clip of Love is a Potion. The lyrics are by Melissa Riggio, a young lady who had Down syndrome and was the focus of episodes 1 through 4 in season 1. The music and voice are by Rachel Fuller.